So, first of all, thank you so much for giving this show an excuse to put the word sphincter in the title of a podcast. That's a win already.
I had to practice. I had how to actually pronounce it because it's just like it's just a tough word, and it's also there's a very similar word which means an old lady without kids, and they used to burn her in the mid.
Yeah, spinkster, I
Yeah,
think,
it's something
or
like
something like that.
so they used to burn them on the stake like witches because they were considered to be like scary. So that's like a word that is similar
Yeah,
also.
we're gonna talk about a weird disease here, but I'm not. Let's hope they don't burn you on the stake if you suffer from
No, I
sphincter
have a
of.
child. I'm good. I'm not a sphincter. What the fuck is this word? And my Australian friend is like, oh, it's just an old lady without kids, and they used to burn them on the stake. That was like a normal thing.
Exactly. This is what happens when you think you speak a language fluently, but until you live in a country that speaks
Yeah.
that language, you're never going to pick up all these weird words. Like a lot of English people go to New York and half of their slang is from Yiddish and they don't understand what a schwanz is or a schmuck or a.
But just think about it. They have a specific word for a status of a woman. I mean, they don't have the equivalent word for a man. That's
No, a man who has no wife and children, he's just a cool fella down the pub.
yeah, it's just a catch.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to thank you for is thanks for letting us into your world because we're gonna finally have a medical weirdness episode. I've been waiting for this. It's not gonna be the last one. I actually have some other ideas too. But so introduce yourself a little bit, and then also how are you feeling right now? I understand there was an attack, an SOD attack recently. Are you recovering? Or
You're saying SOD because you can't say sphincter of Oddi Dysfunction?
Sphincter of Oddi Dysfunction? I have no problem with it.
Well
I just wanted to
done.
be nice to you.
Well, I did.
So Hagi is your name, and at what age roughly? Because you're what, at least 19 now. So
Yeah.
what age roughly did this start?
What? It started a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah, the UK. The UK is, I think, it made me sick basically. And honestly, I was in the hospital and there were so many weird cases of things I've never heard before. I mean, the doctors, they have so many cases there they can't explain in the gastro wards. So I think there's a lot of weird diseases going around in the UK. I don't know. Maybe it's just my.
But we're talking about basically dysfunction of the gallbladder, right?
Yeah, basically, a sphincter is the. I didn't even know. Did you know that you have this organ in your body?
I knew about the organ and I knew that we have other sphincters, not just the funny one, not just the one that farts. I knew that there were other sphincters in the body, but I have to say this one did catch me by surprise when I looked into.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend from the medical field, and they did not know about this illness, disorder, disease, I don't know, condition. Anyway, so the sphincter is a sort of a valve. It's a muscular valve, and basically it's responsible for the release of. I mean, I'm just saying it like nobody sue me if I'm just a bit wrong here.
Oh, yeah, this is a good juncture to say that we are not here to provide medical information.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
are just talking, this is a human interest piece, and we're talking
Yeah.
about your experience. Yeah, go
Everything
for it.
I'm gonna say is, just from my perspective and my opinion, so do not sue me.
And as usual, everything I say is the opinion of all my current and future employers as well.
Okay, we're covered now. Anyway, so like it's this valve, and basically it's like a small muscle that it's related to the pancreas, the liver, and the gallbladder. Okay, so basically through this valve, if I understand correctly, the bile duct liquid and the pancreatic liquid, they go to the small intestine.
So it's like the body's waste disposal system is what we're talking about, more or less.
Well, I mean, you can say it about a lot of things in the body. Basically, when this muscle is not functioning, it's very painful, and I'm not sure why it's a muscle because a muscle inherently needs to contract and open, right? But when this muscle contracts, it can cause like a blockage or just like extreme pain. And it's also very hard to diagnose this condition. I'm not sure to this day that this is what I have. I mean, but it mimics a lot of other conditions and it's very hard to diagnose.
So how did this start for you? So you felt pain like a year and a half ago, just like harsh pain or what?
So what happened was basically I'm a healthy person. I was a healthy person. I was exercising, eating like healthy food, etc. Not really drinking. And I just one night, like one early morning, I woke up and I felt like I just couldn't breathe. And I felt this like crazy chest pains, like all over my shoulders, my back. And I couldn't trace it back to my upper right at that point because it was like painful all over.
Yeah, I read that the pain shoots up like a heart attack, right? You can feel it in the arm and stuff like that, right?
I mean, yeah, but I don't have classic symptoms. So, I mean, I think that what the knowledge that they have right now, they don't have enough research about it. And so, anyway, but this attack, yeah, I mean, it came all of a sudden out of nowhere. It woke me up from my sleep. So, it was definitely not a panic attack. And I started to feel faint. And then I vomited. I mean, my daughter's father called an ambulance. I was in so much pain. I couldn't speak. I like they were trying to make me speak and I couldn't. I just told them, my heart. I think I'm having a heart attack. So obviously they did all the checkups. ECG. They said, oh, well, you're not having a heart attack. And then they took me to the hospital. And then I found the coolest thing ever. That they have laughing gas in the ambulance, and that is fucking awesome. I don't know, but I mean, it just takes away the pain. And from this person that was like, all of a sudden, I became so chatty and friendly. I mean, I always liked the rides to the hospital. I've had so many rides to the hospital. At some point, they told me, well, we see that every time you're asking for a laughing gas and, we're not sure we want to give it to you. I'm like, no, give it to me right now.
So did they think you were trying to abuse nitrous oxide because
This
you
is
were
what
always
they think. And I'm like, dude, I didn't call you up. I'm half dead. I just want something to relax my pain. I don't need to prove myself. I'm not a junkie of like laughing gas. Where else can I get it? If you had an addiction to this, you had to call like an ambulance every day. It's like,
yeah, they have. Oh, you'd be surprised. They have. Well, I remember in Finland there was a famous case where they were selling recreational laughing gas, nitrous oxide, and it was disguised as it was called something like cream.com, which sounds like fun porn or something, but it was actually like they were disguised as a company that would sell refill packs for like whipped cream machine. Like it was like a whipped cream machine that uses nitrous oxide in the way it makes the cream and pushes it out or something. So
yeah. I remember there was a time where they sold like balloons with this stuff, but I mean, if I would want to get high, I would probably take something else and not call an ambulance every day. Anyway, so they took me to the hospital, A&E. I think my first experience in the A&E in England, in a horrible hospital. And I was waiting there for a long time with no painkillers, no nothing. I had to sit with this excruciating pain. And at some point, the pain settled a bit, like after an hour or two, something like that. And I saw a doctor and I went through an ultrasound scan. She said that she thinks that I have gallbladder stones. So basically, the ultrasound didn't show anything. And then I said, will it happen again? What am I doing now? She's like, I think maybe if you had a stone, it passed because I can't see it in the ultrasound. And then she said I need to do another test and obviously wait for a long time and go home. So she sent me home. I was okay. I felt good for like a month. A month later, bam, another one. I get into the hospital. And this time they admitted me. They did an ultrasound, maybe a CT, I don't remember. And basically, I needed to wait for this MRCP test, MRI. It's a sort of MRI test for the bile duct. So they released me, and then it was the third time. The third time I had some more symptoms, and I don't even remember because I was in hospital so many times, but there was one time when I was like, I need something for the pain, please give me something. And they gave me morphine as I got there. And then a few hours later, I was still in pain. So this other doctor, because the doctors keep changing all the time. So this doctor goes like, can you have some paracetamol? And I'm like, are you joking? I mean, this is not working. I just had morphine like 4 hours ago. Can I have some more? And she's like, I don't like to give morphine to young people. And I'm like, thank you. I'm not young. And I'm like, why? I mean, why do you say that? So she's like, if we gave morphine to everyone who had pain, people would be lining up.
Yes, but I think that's tough for them because they've been taught like drug-seeking behavior. It's exactly these type of conditions that you would be faking if you wanted drugs
No,
because
man. I mean, this condition I was at, you can't fake that shit. Seriously. And besides, there are other pain medicines. So I told her, just give me something else. I don't mind. But you're a patient and you feel like it's at the bottom of your life, and someone like this doctor comes to you and suggests that you're some sort of like a drug addict seeking to get drugs. And then they released me, and they told me to wait for this test. And I had another attack. And then they said, okay, we will admit you this time. I was waiting in the A&E for I don't know how many hours. I mean, I saw horrible things. There was like a 90-year-old man there sitting on a chair, and he kept sliding off the chair, and they kept pulling him up. It was just so sad.
where is this hospital?
It's called Stepping Hill Hospital. In my opinion, it's a terrible hospital. I stopped going there because they were just awful. They also have like internal battles, which I didn't quite get. They say you belong to surgery. Oh no, you belong to the gastro team. And it's like nobody wants to take responsibility over you. And I was so sick. I was like pale and I was pecan and I couldn't speak. I only make this kind of noise only comes out of me when I have these attacks. And I point with my fingers, and sometimes I text them because I can't speak. It's a very scary pain. I have been through childbirth, and I had 2 surgeries in the kidneys to remove stones, which was very painful. But this was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. So this doctor comes and check me. I mean, not really check me, just put his hand on my tummy. And he goes like, well, you have a stomach bug. Are you joking? I mean, do you really think stomach bug would feel worse than liver and kidney stones? Well, we're gonna find out. And then he just left the room. And then I was admitted to another ward. And eventually they decided I need a gastroscopy test. You know what that is?
No, what's that?
Basically, they put a camera through your throat to check your stomach. It came out fine. And then there was a break, a few months. I didn't have anything. I thought, oh, that's cool. It will never come back again. I don't care. And then after like 3-4 months, bam, I have it every fucking day. And every day for a week, I was in another hospital until one time the ambulance said, oh, we can take you to Withenshaw Hospital. And they admitted me. And for the first time, it was the gastro ward. For the first time, they told me, okay, you're not going to leave until we find out what you have. So I ended up spending 3 weeks there.
So how many awful trips to a hospital and attacks that are really painful did it take before someone diagnosed you with Sphincter of Oddi Dysfunction?
A lot. And also it became from like having 1 episode in a day. By the end of the week, I had like 4 episodes in a day. And then there was time that the pain did not go away at all. So it was really bad. And there was a point they gave me all the pain relief they could. And I was still in like this crazy, crazy pain. And it's like, it's this kind of pain that is just like, it fucks with your mind a bit because you're thinking to yourself, I mean, is this going to be like this for the rest of my life? And what is this? I mean, they can't find any cause, and everything, my blood, everything is normal. And I had no idea about this condition. And it's this kind of person that is really interested about diseases and can self-diagnose and stuff. But this one, I had really no idea. And so they told me eventually that this is what I have. And I mean, they let me go home once the pain was controlled with a lot of pain medicines, and they also tried all kind of medicines. And when I researched the thing, I realized that they don't know the cause for sphincter of Oddi. I mean, most patients, like 70% or 80% of people that have it, had their gallbladder removed. So there is some sort of connection that can be explained through like a structural dysfunction.
So
But
you haven't had any
no, I didn't have
gallbladder-related surgery or anything?
not anything related, and not like anything in my bowels that it can be connected, or nothing in this area that can cause this. So I mean, in my opinion, it was stress. I mean, and the doctor didn't rule it out. He said, it's very much connected, like the stomach and the bile duct area to the brain and the nervous system, because basically it's like signals that the brain sends, and it sends the wrong signals.
Yeah. Yeah, almost anything can be caused or at least triggered by stress, but there's some
A
kind of
lot of
underlying
things.
cause.
Yeah, because it also releases certain hormones. But yeah, the connection is not really, it's not established enough. They can't say stress causes this and this signal or nerve to act in a certain way. They're just, just a general assumption. Anyway, but what I found out that they gave me morphine like all the time, and asked them, is there any sort of medicine that can trigger it, because I'm taking a lot of medication. So they said, well, no. And then I researched, and the only medicine that they have established a connection that can actually increase the symptoms is opiates, and especially morphine. And every time,
That's not very successful of them then to be treating you with opiates. But
yeah.
what else are they gonna give you for the pain?
And
There's
then,
nothing
okay,
else.
so that's the thing. So they released me with the diagnosis and everything. And then the next time I was admitted, I mean, that was a complete nightmare, because I thought I was going to die. I was already like saying goodbye to this world, seriously, because I came with like high levels of CRP, which is the infection marks. It was 115. It's like above 100, it's a severe level that can also be like sepsis and life-threatening. And I didn't know that, but something in my brain was not right. And I had fever, and I really thought that I'm going to die, seriously.
Uh, did anyone listen to you when you said that these medicines might be making it worse? Is anyone listening? At any point, is there a doctor who takes a critical look at this and reads up on it?
So, I mean, some doctors do, but I mean, it also depends on which ward they admit you in, because I mean, the gastro ward where I was at is it's considered to be very good, and there's a lot of like long-term patients. They have this clique. They have like the popular guys and the unpopular guys, whatever. Really, not crazy scene, So that's a very good ward. But usually, I mean, most of the time they didn't have a room in that ward, so I was in other wards. Anyway, just the whole mess. They messed up my medication altogether. And when I was in the gastro ward, I told one of the doctors, I told them, I don't mean to condescend you or whatever, but I know there's not a lot of research about this condition, and I'm an investigative journalist, blah, blah, blah. That always makes people take you more seriously for some reason.
And you are one, so that's good. And then one day we can have you back here talking about some of that stuff. But it's not
Yeah.
even a lie, so you can tell them that you're gonna investigate their hospital if they don't
Yeah,
snap to
I also,
attention.
I also added a bit of, I have a medical background. I mean, I do have, I was a patient
Yeah, me
many
too.
times.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we all have one. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I told him, look, I read that morphine is very harmful for this condition. And he's like, yes, you're right. And then I remembered I was taking suppositories. Do you know what suppositories are?
One of the ways they use that word is something up your bum, but
Yeah, it's like you give to your child. It's like you give to kids when they have fever, yeah? So when I had my kidney surgery, they gave me that as a painkiller, okay? But in the UK, nobody would think about offering this, because it's a medicine that you have to insert through your bum, right? And I told the guy, I use this medicine. It's not psychoactive, and it's not addictive, and it works better than opiates. Why don't you give me this? And he's like, well, you're right. Let's try this medicine. And
Yeah.
I'm asking him, just asking out of curiosity, why isn't that the first line of treatment? In other words, I was told that they don't have like a lot of supply, and a lot of people are embarrassed, and it's like a cultural thing. Anyway, that was just strange to me. And then I got the suppositories, but the other doctors and the nurses, I still have fucking morphine on my chart, so they gave me that. And I tried not to take it, but sometimes I was like in pain or I was like super bored. I just took the morphine to get a bit high.
You're at this point in the year and a half that you've had this, how many days have you been in hospital, and
Uh,
like how long is it? A week, or are we talking 2 nights?
no,
When does it go away?
so sometimes I go just to A&E, like for a day or for a night, depends on my blood test. And sometimes like 5 days, another week, another 10 days, 3 weeks. Last time was around 2 weeks. The last time was in November. So yes, 3 months ago.
So do you have like smaller attacks at home that you just live with it and let it go, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It really changes because in the beginning it was like attacks that come and go. And then when I had the infection, I got antibiotics. It was just like this horrible pain that wouldn't go away. And it was like 7 to 2 hours of like really, really horrible pain. And I couldn't sleep and I couldn't lay down. So I was sitting and I was kind of like, letting my head down for 10 minutes at a time. And that was just a consistent pain. And sometimes I just have days where I feel this contraction and I feel sick. It doesn't have like a pattern. No, normally. So did they say that they have it's like coming and going, but with me it can get worse gradually. So there's not really rules because I mean it can happen 1 in 4 months. And then it can happen every day, and it's not very consistent in my case.
Has anyone given you any kind of outlook for the future, like what to expect? Will this get worse, or will this get better, or what? Or do they not know? Because I looked a little bit into it, and this is a very poorly
They don't fucking
researched.
know. I mean, right now I have this kind of pain. I'm really trying to avoid hospital because they give you, first of all, some sort of like pills. I don't know. They didn't work. And then the doctor told me, okay, we're going to do a Botox injection for you. And the Botox, basically, it's like an injection that is released in the muscle and it's good for like 3 or 4 months. And then the doctor said, well, sometimes it will resolve the altogether the thing, and sometimes you have to come back every time. But they don't explain to you what are the risks and nothing. I mean, what could be the outcome? It's an invasive procedure after all. I mean, after you tried all the Botox, you can't do it for too long. This is what I researched afterwards, that this is not something you can do forever. You have to go at some point through procedure that is cutting some of the muscle. And 30% of the procedures, from my understandings, can lead to chronic pancreatitis, which is something that I do not want to have,
Which also sounds painful.
and dangerous. That's actually life-threatening disease. It's not like what I have now. So basically, his main goal is to send me to, I'm going to finish up with this surgery. And at the end, he said, after intervention, he will do like hypnotherapy with me. And I'm like, shouldn't it be like the other way around? Like I should try like the non-invasive method before. And then, he scheduled a procedure for me. And I told him, I'm not sure I want to do this procedure and I want to explore other options. And I heard there's like a pain clinic and this hypnotherapy. And there's another test that can definitely say if it's a sphincter of Oddi or not. So I wrote this letter to him. I'm not getting any response. And then his secretary sends me like a letter from him saying that I'm no longer under his care. Basically, he told me to fuck off the minute I canceled the procedure. And then I was chasing them. Eventually, I just got sick of it and I was feeling kind of okay. And then, of course, at some point, I was admitted again. As soon as I was admitted, they said, "Oh, we understand that you canceled the Botox injection. You have another procedure scheduled for Friday." Well, can I speak to a doctor before I undergo this procedure? Can you explain me the risks and what is this procedure exactly? And if there's any alternatives for this procedure? And they're like, "So you don't want to do the procedure?" I'm like, "I don't know. I want someone to explain to me first." I was there for like a week. Nobody comes to explain to me, but they tell me it's on Friday. Thursday comes. I'm like, "I want to speak to a doctor because the procedure is tomorrow. I want to know what's going on because I don't want to waste a slot for other patient too, you know?" And so they said, "The doctor will explain to you about the procedure before you undergo the procedure tomorrow." At that point, I got angry. I said, "Well, I mean, you're pressuring me to undergo a procedure, and basically, I'm facing a fact. This is not a fact, you know, this is my body and my choice. So, I mean, the very least you can do is let me talk to an expert before properly and not pressure me to go through a procedure, and definitely don't waste the spot in case I don't want to do it."
Yeah. So everything's a little bit uncertain when it comes to this condition, and so in their defense, you're a person who's been to hospital now so many times that they're gonna have to try an intervention, and that's the best guess they have. So they're gonna have to go with their best guess, no?
No, it's first of all, it's not accurate because this condition is not at the current state is not life-threatening and it's not dangerous. It's just very painful. So I've been speaking to doctors, and the expert that was telling me about it was telling me about hypnotherapy and like a pain clinic and this sort of stuff that I didn't try. They don't really know because everybody reacts differently to the Botox injection. And look, my gallbladder was not removed. I don't have a structural issue. I think it's because of stress. And to this logic, I asked, "Can this condition go away?" So he said, "We don't know. Usually not." But how rare is my case? Did you meet any people that didn't have the gallbladder removed and don't have any background diseases? Do you meet people like that? And he said, "No, not really." So basically, they don't have a category for people like me who didn't have. I mean, I think it should be a different approach, of more like a body and mind kind of approach, if this was triggered by stress. And the doctor was agreeing with me, basically. And he wrote a referral to the pain clinic. And I was waiting for 2 months. Only now, when the pain is back, I had to call them. And I'm like, "What's going on?" And this doctor told me, "Next time you're going to be admitted to the hospital, we're probably going to have no choice and do the Botox injection." So I'm like in this position where I know if I'm going to the hospital, I'm going to get the injection. However, there are two other options that I can try first. So this puts me in a very absurd situation where I'm waiting to get worse, and then I have to undergo an urgent surgery. But there's a chance that this could have been avoided, you know, because I do like meditation and yoga. These kind of things help with the pain. And there's like book that is written by a patient, because you can't find any books about it, you know. Patients bring sometimes a lot of the knowledge, and because they are in groups and they can see, you know, symptoms. And to be fair, a lot of them say that, I mean, I was lucky to be diagnosed, because a lot of them, they self-diagnose. They run in between different hospitals. Nobody listens to them. They tell them they have panic attacks, and that, I mean, it's just ridiculous to think that someone with this, it's so painful that, I mean, if I would be told that this was a panic attack, you know, it's crazy, because the level of pain is just, I mean, I really feel for those people, you know, because...
So what do you think? So are there any peer groups in the UK then for people? Because I'm sure
Yeah,
just talking it through is helpful to a certain extent, because I've
yeah,
never heard of this before. And
yeah.
it's not like there are charities on the streets collecting money for Sphincter of Oddi Dysfunction.
No, and
So there's no help. Do you know anyone else who has it?
yeah, I mean, there is this group that's been extremely helpful. And I mean, sometimes they knew more than the doctors knew. And it's not like one person is telling me this. It's just like one person after another telling me the same thing, and it's more than what I can find online. And actually, if it was a smaller country, for example, I'm not sure they would even know about this condition because it's very rare. And in the UK, there are so many people here, so the prevalence is bigger. I mean, from that point of view, is an advantage because there is a group and there are people who have it. And I think maybe in the next few years they will know more about it because I think there are actually more people who suffer from it and they're not aware that they have it. Because I was searching in a lot of forums and people, they have those pains after they have their gallbladder removed or just this kind of attacks and they have no idea what it is. And they keep going from doctor to doctor, and the doctors just don't know it. And I mean, in the first hospital, the Step and Hill Hospital, which I'm never going to step in that hospital again, they were completely oblivious to this. They had no idea. So from that point of view, at least I have some sort of diagnosis.
Yeah, I mean, this has been fascinating. It's a totally new thing. I just I'm wondering, what are you gonna do next? Are you gonna go grab a ticket to Mexico or Switzerland to some kind of clinic that's illegal here?
No, basically, when I'm not in pain, I'm ignoring it like it doesn't exist, and I live my life. It's tough because every time I start like a project or I go back to exercise, and bam, I start to feel ill again. And some friends are kind of done with it. They're like because I don't show up, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm positive because I think that the way I deal with the pain makes it better in a way. The emotional part, because it's a very scary pain, like you can't breathe and it feels like a heart attack. I mean, your mind goes like, it's okay, it's not dangerous, but your body tells you you're going to die. I don't know. I'm hoping to go through this pain clinic, and I don't know what they offer there, to be honest.
Drugs, if I were to guess, they're gonna give you more drugs.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about pain medicine, but I know that it's a very broad field. But I think the experience, it sounds like a cliche, but I think it had like a very positive impact on me and the way I look at things too. And grateful. All of a sudden, I have a day with no pain. So I'm so happy. And also been admitted for 3 weeks and seeing all kinds of people. And I met a friend. We were kind of like, they call this double trouble, and we were just making the whole world go crazy, and we had those shenanigans.
So some fun has come out of it, that's good, and some friends. So speaking of that, I'm sure other people with this condition are desperate to find more information or just to share experiences. So do you have any way for them to find each other? Like, what are these things online that you've been using? Let's name one so people can find it.
Yeah, so it's very simple. It's called this Sphincter of Oddi Dysfunction in Facebook. They have a Facebook group, and they talk about a lot of bile duct related issues are connected to this condition. So they know a lot about pancreatitis, for example,
Yeah.
gallbladder surgery, gallbladder stones, blah blah blah. So that's a good resource. I mean, they can contact me.
Yeah, use that Facebook page, and I hope maybe also that our medical correspondents on the show, who've already appeared on the show, a couple of them, maybe we can have them listen as well and see if they have any interesting thoughts. I mean, there's a couple of conflated issues here. One is the inefficient, maybe, administration of these hospitals and the treatment of patients versus then a really rare
Yeah.
disease where nobody seems to quite know how to treat it.
Yeah. I didn't even start to tell you about, the hospital. Wow, hospitals are fucking crazy places with crazy people. Yeah, I mean, I had a really good time at some point because you see these people and they're really old, and some of them don't want to leave the hospital, and sometimes you just put some headphones on them with music, or you just dance and make some moves, or sometimes there was a cleaner, he was dancing every day. So this like small stuff makes people so happy. And the medical team, they have so much influence. They have no idea how much a good approach has an impact on patients. And I saw the good sides of it and I saw the bad sides of it. And the food, by the way, the food is the best food in England. You can find it in hospitals.
That's I In any other country, I'd say you're crazy, but here I find that almost believable. But that thing about hospitals in this country and maybe elsewhere, but I'm lucky enough to not have had any long hospital stays in other places, but here the hospital where my son was born, and then him and his mom had to stay at the hospital for a while after for checkups and stuff, because it wasn't like the most easy birth. So I remember the building. It was the most awful prison experience of my life. Like, some of the elevators, the lifts weren't in order, so it was a lot of huffing upstairs in this like brutalist, Stalinistic building, like something from the worst depictions of the Soviet Union that you can imagine. And I felt so bad, first of all, that all the people who work there, like, this can't be doing anything good to your mind, being in this environment for hours and hours. It was an awful building. And then imagine all the little kids who are sick. Like, most of their life is just this terrible building, right?
You're describing, it's funny you're saying the building, because Stepping Hill Hospital is also this like old building, and the staff, you really feel that the dynamics between the staff is not good. But in, like, for example, in Withenshaw, it's completely not like that. And the hospital looks new, and the atmosphere, it also belongs to some sort of like a foundation or something. So they have standards. But yeah, the old stairs and the grayness, and oh God, and there's always somebody outside smoking a cigarette, and you talk to them. And they have like these horrible stories. They just like a Samuel Beckett play, you know?
Yeah.
And then you see bodies like when in the hallway.
Yeah. We should all remember that for people who are either sick or have to work in hospitals, that their daily life is terrible. Like, those places are not fun. And you, I'm happy you had some fun while you were there.
I was in a bad ward at the same hospital, and you can feel the hostility. You can feel it. I mean, patients feel they're in a very sensitive place. They're very vulnerable, and they feel everything. So if the staff are super, super nice, you know that this ward is considered to be very good, and they get treated very good. And you see them coming to work happy, you know? And we had some like really nice laughs. And I don't know, it really depends. But for example, in A&E, in Stepping Hill, I think that was the worst. It's a whole system. It's just like protocols over protocols over protocols over uniforms over uniforms over uniforms. It's just, I mean, I wouldn't want to be an old person in this country. Let's put it this way. I saw like very heartbreaking cases, you know, people who go there on their own, like old people, and they just been forgotten in the hallway, either in bed or sitting. A 90-year-old person like this guy, he was wearing a Christmas sweater. It was so sad. And they don't have a voice to speak for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And they're alone. And I know what it's like to be alone. I don't know. Yeah, we got a bit serious, but
Yeah, no worries.
next time I will tell you about all the little secrets and how we took over the ward and did all kind of shenanigans. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that there's a funny side to it as well. And
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, this isn't, hopefully, I mean, this isn't gonna kill you, and we're gonna fix it somehow. But they need cases like yours to do more research, and they're probably gonna treat you like a little bit of a guinea pig.
I have a master plan.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. It's a very personal subject. I hope it reminds everyone that life can take a wrong turn real quickly, and
I mean, just imagine the bond. You see people in the worst situations in life, and then there's like a connection. And you know, I have a friend that we're like soulmates, and it's not black and white. Most things.
do you have a sharp sentence to end with, a message for the people?
Nah. I'm not the one-liner sort of girl. I'm a long sentence sort of
Don't
person.
worry. We'll give you an exemption from this episode because this whole thing is one big public service announcement, so you can be exempt.
Well, I'm not. I need to know how to pronounce the other word.
A spinkster. Yeah.
I'm not a sphincter. I just have a sphincter of Oddi Dysfunction.
Yeah, all right. Well, I would like to say to all the spinksters of the world that you're welcome here. And
I need
this
to
is a
learn
safe space.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you,
Sorry, I was,
Hagi. Thank you.
smashing up your brain.
Thank you.
Bye.